we are doing the core distillery, where our advisors at core planning, we ask for professional questions, for personal questions. Again, it's just an introductory, just to get to know each other, and yeah. So my first question to you, Patrick, is just tell me a little bit about your journey into financial planning.
Yeah, thank you, Savis. Yeah, I've been in financial services since 2002, which is a long time now. When I think about it, but I've really had the opportunity to work in a variety of different business models, and so I think that kind of gives me a unique perspective. I think in the industry, I started out after college. I got my history degree. I did a work exchange in a foreign country where I sold computers, and then when I came back, I just became interested in the financial markets. So I did sales for a year, which was not financial at all, and then I got a job working in service operations, marketing, training, a variety of different roles in product before really working with individuals. And so um, I think in terms of my background, it's worked in a lot of different places. So I've seen registered investment advisory firms and fee-only firms. I've worked at brokerage firms. I've worked at insurance companies, and I worked at brokerage general agents before too. So just seeing a lot of different ways to serve people. So
Yeah.
enjoyed
And how
all
many
of
years
them
again?
different ways. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I said how many years again? You said over 20 or 20?
Yeah, since 2002. So we're coming up on
Yeah,
22 years now.
22 years. Yeah,
So in June
amazing.
it would have been. So it goes quick.
And yeah, seriously, what would you say that's something that's unique to your practice? Like, what do you like to focus on?
Yeah, I think one thing that I enjoy is that I also, one of the great things about core is you can do more than one thing, right? You can still have another day job if you want, and you can still have a practice. And so I do train financial professionals, and so I try to bring that to my clients as well in terms of how do you distill down complex financial things into simple pictures or simple explanations. And so I think that role as educator is important, working with clients and doing it in a friendly way. I've seen that go wrong so many times too, right? Where people will go
Right.
on and give you every single detail when they say educate. I don't want to do that. I want to give you the bullet points that give you enough to act on and feel confident in your decision, but not overwhelm you with all the details, you know?
Yeah. So I guess as an educator and a trainer, um, what would you say is your ideal client? You could say your ideal advisor as well.
Yeah, no, I think, when I think about who I work with and who I really enjoy working with, it's usually people that understand the importance and they really want to delegate, right? They want to have more freedom in their schedule. And it's not that they couldn't do managing their own finances, but it's just that they realize it's a better use of their time to do stuff they enjoy, spend time with family, and instead of spending time on managing some of the finance aspects. I also find that the people I work with, they love the outdoors. They love fishing, things like that I also enjoy. And so they share the same interest and values. And also another thing too, I think in terms of my ideal client that I work with now, it really has been a lot of multi-generational families. So I think people go to this word generational wealth, right? And I don't really look
Hmm.
at working with people that have multiple generations of money, but I do look at it in terms of what are you teaching your kids about money so that they know how to do those things themselves. So some of my favorite clients have been people that are working and preparing for their own retirement, but they also have kids that are in their 20s that are just starting out in life. And so I get to help educate both generations and sometimes work together on some goals depending on the family. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's amazing. What
I would
What are
say.
some things? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
cut
I
you
would
off.
say also too, I mean, in terms of people I work with, I mean, I kind of look at my practice as a barbell practice, right? There's people that are multimillionaires that have a lot of complexity, and there's people that are just starting out that literally have $2,500 to their name. So really, I think just being able to serve anybody that has the need and the interest is kind of where I like to focus my time. So
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think both need financial services, right? And I think kind of when
absolutely.
you put yourself in, when you pigeonhole yourself, you kind of leave opportunity on the table. Um,
Yeah,
whether it's to grow as a practice or to help someone that possibly needs your help.
I think you're
So it's
exactly right. And I see a lot of my career at firms that say you need to have this amount of money to work with us. And I don't really have any interest in doing that going forward.
correct. Yeah, same. You kind of alluded to this earlier when we were speaking about core, but what surprised you about building with the core community?
Yeah, what's awesome about Core that some people don't know is that I was the first person to really be on this platform. And so I did it for a while. And at the time, Guy was kind of saying, hey, here's something we should try or think about. And so I got to kind of be the guinea pig for a moment and then came back around. And when I was able to really kind of dedicate myself more to this, um, I got to see what had developed. And man, we had more than a dozen people. And just the community that we fostered since the start is just a world apart. It's just awesome what's happened since we started. So why I love Core, there's so many reasons, but I think some of the main ones are the freedom. I mean, I really get to do things the way I want to do them. So I don't have any kind of metrics or requirements of like, you need to bring in this amount of money or get these number of clients this year. I can be as creative as I want to be in terms of my branding and my messaging, as long as it's within, compliance guidelines, of course. I like the equity. I get to own my clients. If I decide to leave Core tomorrow, I just do it. I don't have a non-compete or something else that I need to worry about. So I think Guy's position on that has allowed for, that freedom to say, you know what, I'll do things the way I want. And it's not this contested space that you see out there in financial services elsewhere, really. Also, I think just being able to control what we do, our schedule, the freedom, the flexibility that comes with it. Our community of really creative, fantastic people that just keeps growing. I think it's just a fantastic part of what we offer here at Core. I've definitely worked places where the focus is how's your business doing, what's your AUM, what's your client growth look like, and we don't really spend time on any of that. It's really how do we help each other actually help our customers and our clients actual financial questions. We were very free and abundant with our advice that we give each other. So that whole culture is pretty hard to replicate, and I think it's pretty awesome that we have here.
Yeah, I think it's really important to focus on like how to be a better advisor versus a better salesman. I think that's kind of what we're alluding to a little bit. I completely agree with that. So that was our 4 professional questions. Now the fun part, the personal questions. Up a little bit. But what's your favorite music to blast in the car when you're all by yourself?
Yeah. Where I was just looking before this ad, what are some of my playlists on my Apple iTunes, right? And so I don't really have them. I don't have them by band or genre, but just how I describe them. So I kind of like to say I like everything, but like my lists I had were, of course, classic rock. There's hip hop. There's rap. I have one called Tolerable Country, dark indie, happy indie rock music, like epic playlists from movies, 80s synth pop. But yeah, most of the time I'd probably say I end up usually listening to like indie rock music. And so if I had to pick like the 2 most played artists would probably be something like Lord Huron or Fleet Foxes, or else I would listen to some of the 80s alternative stuff like the Smiths or the Pixies, for example. So nothing too exciting or interesting there, but I listen to a ton of music. It's always going. I remember I used to work at a firm when I first started my Pandora subscription, and they sent me a message one time and said, you hit 10,000 thumbs up. And I'm like, how does that even happen? But I listen to a lot of music, and that's what made that happen. So.
Okay, so you are a music guy for sure. So I do see the versatility there. That's a lot.
There's some, but I think we all end up kind of gravitating towards what we probably have heard the most. And I like to think I get outside of my same way of thinking, but that doesn't always happen. I sometimes listen to the same stuff over and over again. So
yeah, definitely. What is your favorite book, movie, or show that you enjoyed recently?
Yeah. So book, I just do them Audible. So I mean, I wish I could say that I sit down and read books like I used to, but I don't really do that very often. A book I've enjoyed recently is called Make It Stick, and it's just all about different means to help people learn and retain information. So it helps in my day job, but also when I talk about working with clients too, also I think it's useful. Two things I've taken away from that are the practices of what they call interleaving, which is basically just two concepts that you bring together from two separate maybe parts of understanding something, and then also to just the spaced repetition or quizzing that you do to kind of help you see, do I really, can I really retrieve that information I learned? So that's been kind of cool to listen to a book and then apply it right away. So that's been really cool.
Yeah.
Another thing I enjoy too is also the revisionist history podcast. So my degree was in history, and I don't spend time reading history books much anymore, but um,
Hmm.
that podcast was really cool. They just had a 9-part series on the Berlin Olympics in 1936. And
Hmm.
it's really fascinating the way it starts out with kind of your traditional view of that topic. And then it flips it
Hmm.
on its head by the end, where you come out with a completely different understanding than when you started. And so that's why I love when you learn history that kind of covers the voices that don't get heard or the perspectives that weren't captured, and you come back and grab them 50 years or 100 years later. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah, that is cool. And the Berlin Olympics, that was the one with Jesse Owens. I think Jesse Owens did that one. No?
yes, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. And it talks
yeah.
to that specifically. There's 9 different parts to that podcast series just on the 36 Olympics. So
Hmm.
I did it on a plane, which is why I could sit down for that long and do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a really historical Olympics, but the background stories and the characters involved, it's pretty
Hmm.
fascinating. So
Yeah. I'm a history guy myself. A little tiny, little bit.
that's a
Right.
Malcolm Gladwell podcast, and he's a good narrator also too. So
Yeah.
I did see the guy wants to hear about urban fishing. So one of the things I do also in my free time is
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fly fishing fanatic, and so I enjoy fishing for the overlooked species and the overlooked places. So people in
Mm-hmm.
their mind go to fly fishing and think of trout right away and go into these mountain streams. And there's plenty of places in our own backyard where you can catch a variety of species. So that's where I spend a
Yeah.
lot of my time fishing, is going to places that people either don't want to go or they don't know that are available to them. So,
Yeah.
but that's
Okay. Yeah.
the blog that I do is called River King Fishing. That's just a hobby I've had for a long time now. So
Yeah. Speaking of fish, I don't know if it's your favorite meal, but what's your favorite meal to share with friends and family?
yeah, pizza. So I feel like
Pizza.
there's a hierarchy of
Really?
pizza places in your neighborhood, and so it's just
Okay.
figuring out which are the best ones. One thing I
Yeah.
started doing recently is this Facebook group, and it's all about pizza connoisseurs of St. Louis. And so
Mm.
uh, I get this constant list of like new places to try out. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, I keep saying, well, this is the best place or this is the best one. And then you find next week, well, there's a new one to try. So it always keeps things interesting. So
Interesting. I might need to join that. I don't know if you've seen my, but I'm a pizza fanatic. But I don't judge. I really don't judge. I just like pizza. But I
yeah.
might as well continue the tradition that Justin started, which is do pineapples belong on pizza?
Oh, yeah. Of course it does.
They
It's
do.
awesome.
We
I had
disagree.
I had
I think.
one when I got to travel earlier this year. I had one that had spicy sausages and also pineapple on the same pizza, and that the hot and cold together was pretty
Okay.
cool. So, Justin, sorry.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so we won one. We won because I said no. I said no. Yes. We got to see if the next person, like, if that's their favorite food, then we can ask them and we could just kind of just tally this and answer once and for all. I think it might be these two things combined: fly fishing and pizza. But what would your perfect day look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, time with family, people that I love, would be awesome. And then
Mhm.
also some combination of alone time in nature, probably involving fly fishing,
Yeah.
Something intellectually engaging is fun too, also, right? So, I mean, I do like to learn things too. And then, at the same time, I enjoying time with people, but then also kicking back by myself too, and just maybe relaxing with a couple of beers too. So, I love a lot of variety, right? So sometimes I like to try different beers, like to try different pizzas, catch different types of fish. So it's kind of a recurring theme in my life. But a perfect day would be all of those things probably wrapped up together.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So we did have a couple questions from the audience here. Got a question from Justin saying, "What did the early days look like at Core Planning?" Being the guinea pig. It's like essentially, it's like you were the first caveman, so you could kind of tell us what it all start, what it looked like from the start at the beginning. Was the logo different? Like, was it even on Slack? Like things like
Yeah,
that.
we were called St. Louis Private Advisors back then, and it was me and Guy, and we
Mm,
were just meeting for coffee and hanging out at the bread company, and it was just
yeah.
kind of like, what was this going to look like? And so, Guy was a very patient and a very supportive guy, still is now, of course, right? But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, and I think he was just kind of like, hey, let's try this out. And to see where it is now, it's an amazing feeling to get to come back to it. I think the other part of that question is what was it like to come back the second time around. I can tell you it was like, wow, we have all these very talented CFA, CFP level professionals here now. It's not, just me and Guy like saying, hey, let's do this ourselves. It's look at all these other people that believe in this, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
and I would
And
say the other thing about the early days would be that we met in person a lot more, and it's
mm,
uh,
okay.
nothing against
Yeah.
Guy, but like, he does live 10 minutes away, so we should probably get together more often.
Yeah, that's interesting. And what did it feel like? What did you feel that Core figured out something special? When did you feel like they did that? I guess
When
what
did I
time was it when you came back, or was it at the beginning when you guys
I would
first
say when I
started?
came back, especially, I think in the beginning, I think me and Guy probably had the same shared values and the same ideas, I think, about how you should do business with people and how to run a practice ethically. But then when I came back around the second time, like I love that he had operationalized so many things and put in place so many different, not just a tech stack for people to use, but also the different systems and thinking through how do we really do things in a digitally native, efficient way. And I was really impressed by what he had done. So,
All right, and that's all the questions we have.
all right.
Yeah, so no more questions. Again, thank you, Patrick. I did it. I was the first one. The first you were one of the first people I thought of. I'm like, let me ask Patrick. I think he might be interested in doing this. Um, and we're wrapping it up now.
Yeah, been happy to do it. Thanks for having me, and it's been fun, and we'd love to do this. I will be doing this next time. I guess I'll be interviewing the
Yeah,
next core
you're
team
next
member.
up. Yeah. And you can customize your own questions and things like that. Kind of tailored to you. I think that'll be good. Can't wait to see it.
Sounding good.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you again.